Hello everyone, welcome to our today's presentation. This is Group 6, and today we're going to introduce you the contrastive analysis hypothesis. The name of each group member has been put on the left bottom of each slide for your reference. I'm Xiaolei, and I'm going to introduce you what CAH is. The study of contrastive linguistics was initiated by the American linguist Cecil Fries in the mid-20th century, and this assumption was taken by Robert Ludlow in his book, Linguistic Cross Cultures, in which Ludlow presented a systematic method for comparing L1 with L2. And it is also in this book that the theoretical foundation of CA was laid down. That is, those elements that are similar to his native language will be simple for the learner, and those elements that are different will be difficult. In specific, CAH assumes that learner tends to transfer the habits of their native language structure to the foreign language, and this assumption actually is related to the behaviorist perspective on the language acquisition, which, as we have learned, proposes that children learn language through the process of imitation and positive reinforcement and eventually form habits of correct language use. And this actually also is part of the reason why later researchers reject this hypothesis. And this hypothesis also assumes that this transfer is the major source of difficulty or ease in learning the structure of a foreign language. To further explain it, let me introduce you two terms, positive and negative transfer. As Lassen, Freeman, and Long gloss, where two languages are similar, positive transfer will occur, and where they are different, negative transfer or interference will result. In specific, positive transfer means the use of the first language in a second language context leading to a correct second language form. Here is an example. When asking the following question, the French saying, "Êtes-vous prêt?" can be perfectly transferred into English as is, "Are you ready?" However, this might not always be the case. The use of the first language in a second language context can also result in a non-target-like second language form, that is, an incorrect form. And that is when the negative transfer occurs. Here is also an example of interrogation. The French saying, "Apprends l'anglais?" if on a word-to-word basis, can be transferred as "learn he the English," which is obviously incorrect in English, and the right order should be does he learn English? Therefore, in this regard, we can see that language transfer might not always function satisfactorily, and when it does not, errors will occur. And contrastive analysis hypothesis is just used to avoid these errors in the process of second language acquisition. However, there are many researchers against this hypothesis, and now let's welcome my partner to show you what these opponents say.
This is Liu Ying from Group 6. Although contrastive analysis hypothesis has been widely used in the field of second language acquisition in the 1960s and early 1970s, its theoretical basis and methodological practice have been criticized in the past few decades. In the 1970s, the contrastive analysis hypothesis began to fall out of favor because studies have shown that many second language errors are not the result of transfer. These errors either look like mistakes made by native speakers, or they come from ambiguous sources. In addition, the study also finds that the similarities between different languages can lead to the persistence of errors. That is, when the structural functions of two languages are similar but different, learners will show signs of transfer, which leads to the persistence of errors. Finally, some errors in the predictions of CAH did not appear in the speech analyzed by the researchers. Not only that, but a potential problem with CAH is that it's closely related to a theory of learning called behavioralism, which emphasizes that learning is the formation of habits. Contrastive analysis have studied a language theory in which rules are regarded as habits. Since studies have shown that language is not customary, and second language acquisition studies have shown that not all errors are attributed to mother tongue transfer or inference. Klein provides a good example to support this view. When Spanish and Italian students learn German, they put the verb at the end of the sentence. However, in the grammatical structure of their mother tongue, the verb is not placed at the end of the sentence. Obviously, the inference of learner's mother tongue is not the only factor. Because of these problems, comparative analysis hypothesis is declining as a field of study, and its accompanying hypotheses are no longer popular. As the reliability of CAH was questioned, an approach was introduced in the 1970s, the error analysis. Error analysis is a research tool which is characterized by identifying, describing, and explaining the errors of second language learners. Error analysis is a response to the hypothesis of comparative analysis and behavioralism. Most of the work of early error analysis focuses on determining whether second language acquisition is the result of first language transfer or creative construction. Early error analysis shows that not all errors can be attributed to the influence of mother tongue, and second language learners are active creators of language system. Now, let my partner list some syntactic examples to see how the second language learning has its own logical order of learning.
This is Xu Nanxing from Group 6. As my teammates mentioned above, errors are assumed to be the result of transfer from learner's first language in CAH. However, second language learners are active creators of language system, and they have different stages during their second language acquisition. We are going to take possessive determiners and reference to past as examples to introduce second language learners' different stages to make their development of second language acquisition clear. And I'm using learners whose first language are French as examples. When learners are learning possessive determiners, there can be three stages. At stage 1, they do not use his or her. All persons, genders, and numbers are called by definite articles or you. Like this example, the little boy played with the bicycle. The learner does not know that definite article, the, or to be replaced by possessive determiner his. He is not able to use her either because he does not have the awareness yet. Then, Stage 2. At Stage 2, learners know definition of possessive determiners and start to use them. Learners are able to put his or her at right positions in sentences, but only use one of the forms. In this example, the girl making herself beautiful. She put the makeup on his hand, on his head, and his father is surprised. The learner only uses his in every place. He cannot switch one possessive determiner to another one. At the beginning of Stage 3, learners are able to use both his and her, but at first, some French learners may be influenced by their first language. In French, gender of objects is determined by grammatic gender, while in English, people use possessive determiners according to natural gender of objects. Some French learners would tend to analyze grammatic gender when they are saying a sentence contains objects with different genders. Like this example, the dad put her little girl on his shoulder and after on his back. Some French learners will use her in this example because her is similar to la in French to determine grammatic gender of little girl. That's why the learner uses her instead of his before little girl. Finally, at the end of Stage 3, they may achieve error-free use of his and her in all contexts. We can see that in this example, learner can analyze the natural gender correctly to complete sentences. That's all for stages of acquisition of possessive determiners.
Hello, this is Shufeng. As my partner has shown you the possessive determiners process on second language acquisition, here we have also observed development process on second language learners about how to use interlanguage to refer to the past events. Here we got 4 stages. At the very beginning, because learners have very limited language skills, so they simply mention the event's order in which it happens, or mention a time, a place to show that the event happened in the past. Like here, my mom cook, we go shopping. The speaker tried to refer to past event by mentioning cook and go shopping with the order it happened. And second one, Japan, we shop a lot. The speaker tried to use Japan to tell that the shopping is a past event. Now let's move to stage 2. At this stage, learners start to use grammatical morpheme to mark the verb for past. However, it's not the correct one that target language use. Like here, she's studying so hard. Now rest. In this utterance, the speaker used present progressive to mark past tense, which obviously is not correct. And then at stage 3, the learners start to mark irregular past tense and verbs to illustrate past events, like she caught the ball, we went to school together. And what we need to pay attention at this stage is learners use irregular past tense before regular to refer to the past. You may also have noticed their sequences of using irregular and regular past tense is very similar to those young first language learners. And you will also see the similarity on the next stage. Now let's look at stage 4. At stage 4, learners begin to mark regular tense on verbs, but it seems like they overgeneralize the rules by marking regular past tense on irregular verbs. Like my mom bought some fruit, it should be bought, not buyed. Meanwhile, at this stage, we have also examined second language learners make mistakes by using the wrong past tense form, such as yesterday she has eaten an apple. In this utterance, the learners use present perfect tense to replace past tense by mistake. So, as we can see from the above stages, the errors that they make along the process are very similar to the young first language learners. In this sense, it has proved their understanding of the second language itself, and instead just transfer from learners' first language. The second language learners do show a similar pattern on second language acquisition despite their first language backgrounds. And that's for my part, and I will hand it to my next partner.
Hello, this is Qijia Li from Group 6. As our group has discussed, CH is under fire because many scholars think CH is related to the behaviorist perspective. However, contrastive analysis provides some valuable suggestions for language teaching. So I will show you these aspects. Just as our group's member mentioned, according to Lado's Linguistic Across Culture 1957, those elements that are similar to his native language will be simple for the learner, and those elements that are different will be difficult. Well, according to this theory, many of the difficulties in learning a second language are due to the fact that it differs from the first language. So based on this, foreign language teachers can predict second language learners' errors easily. For example, no is preferred by Spanish learners because it corresponds to their negation pattern, and second language learners will apply this negation pattern for over a long time because the similarities between the first language and the second language, and they will use patterns that are most familiar with native language. Besides, the German speakers' inversion of subjective and lexical verbs in question is also due to the fact that the first language do have influence on the second language learning. Besides, CEH can help foreign language teachers predict second language learners' difficulties. For example, Chinese students tend to have difficulties learning relative clause because they prefer to use adjectives before noun. So when they learn relative clause, which put the noun in front of the relative clause, they would find it quite different and strange from their native language and have problems in these aspects. So, based on this, the teacher who has made a comparison of a foreign language with the native language of the students will know better what the real learning problems are and can provide better teaching. Consequently, they can adopt more tailor-made language design that are most suitable for students. They can teach contents that are familiar with first language first and put those extremely different from the first language later, so that students will be more comfortable to accept a new language, and it will also boost students' confidence and enthusiasm. For example, Japanese students acquire possessive easier because in Japanese, they use no, which is different from English possessive, so teachers can teach no first instead of put this in later teaching. So based on what I have discussed, CAH can provide insights for teaching. It can help syllabus designers to produce the most effective materials and provide teachers with awareness-raising teaching methods. So during the teaching process, foreign language teachers can easily target the second language learners' errors and difficulties of the students and provide them the most precise guidance for them. So let me make a simple conclusion. Our group focused on the contrastive analysis hypothesis. We introduced some basic concepts of this theory, and we point out some deficits of it. As our teammates points out, AHC theory will not apply to all the errors that second language learners have made. There is a unity of process that characterizes all language acquisition. So we simply introduce two aspects of second language acquisition stages. And finally, we explore some valuable aspects contrastive analysis can give to second language teaching. So this is our group presentation, and I hope you'll like it.